we need to do a problem from the institute study material. Please take page number 7.32 of your institute study material. In that, question number 3. 7.32, question number 3. And read the question. We have already worked out the question number 2 in this chapter. That forenoon session, we did the case of bogies and wagons. Okay, that is the same question which is given in question number 2. And question number 1 is a basic fundamental question on skimming and penetration policy. We have discussed that in detail. So only 3 questions in the study material with respect to this particular chapter, and we have done certain problems which were there with respect to calculation of TEV and what we have done earlier. Okay, so with this question, I think we are covering all the questions from the institute study material in this chapter. Okay, and from those questions, 1 or 2 questions from this has already been covered in your some of the exams as well as in the RTP with different figures. Other than that, I can find 1 or 2 questions as a part of case studies which we will discuss separately later. Okay, so hope you all have read the question. Now we will see how it is to be done. We will read the question once again. The budgeted cost data of a product manufactured by Ayuda Limited is furnished below. Budgeted units to be produced 2 lakh units. Variable cost is 32 per unit rupees. Fixed cost is rupees 16 lakhs. It is proposed to adopt cost plus pricing approach with a markup of 25% on full budgeted cost basis. However, research by the marketing department indicates that the demand of the product in market is price sensitive. The likely market responses are as follows. Selling price per unit 44, 48, 50, 56, 60. Annual demand 1,68,000, 152,000, 1,40,000, 128 and 1,08,000. Required, analyze the above situation and determine the best course of action. What is given here? The company has got a budget. Okay, Ayuda Limited has a budget. As per the budget, it is planning to produce how many goods? 2 lakh units. And it has got a variable cost of 32 per unit and fixed cost of 16 lakhs. And the company has a policy of pricing the products at cost plus 25% markup on the budgeted cost basis. Okay, so total cost plus 25% on cost will be the price to be charged. Now, but the marketing team, what they are saying is the demand of the products is sensitive to the price. Okay, so depending upon the price we are charging, the demand will change. Now here the company wants to sell 2 lakh units. If the company wants to sell 2 lakh units, how much should be the selling price? If you see, that is not given here. Rather, it is given certain other levels. Okay, so what you have to do? First, you have to see what is the selling price the company is proposing to price this particular product and see in which category it falls. So naturally, whether the company is able to sell that much product based on this, that is what we have to see. Okay, so first let us do the calculation. Okay, so you can write budgeted selling price, computation of budgeted selling price. Computation of budgeted selling price. Okay, now okay, how to do it? You have to take the cost and find out. Okay, now how to find out the budgeted selling price? First, you have to find out the budgeted total cost. Then you add the markup. Okay, so variable cost per unit is given to be how much? 32. Am I right? 32. Okay. Now, number of budgeted units. How much? It is 2 lakh. Therefore, total variable cost per unit will be how much? Total variable cost will be 32 into 2 lakh. That will give you 64 lakhs in rupees. Is it clear? Now what you have to do? You need to add the fixed cost. Fixed cost. What is the fixed cost? It is 16 lakhs. Therefore, total budgeted cost will be 64 lakhs plus 16 lakhs will be 80 lakhs. Okay. Now what you have to do? You have to add profit at 25% of budgeted cost. That is 25% of 80 lakhs. That will turn out to be 20 lakhs. Okay. So total sales revenue, again budgeted, will be how much? 1 crore of rupees. Okay. Now what you have to do? You have to find out the selling price per unit. Okay. Therefore, selling price per unit is equal to 1 crore divided by, what is the number of units? 2 lakhs. That will give you rupees 50 per unit. 50 per unit. Is it clear? So you can write based on the given cost structure, the selling price per unit works out to be how much? Works out to be rupees 50 per unit. Is it clear? So the selling price works out to be rupees 50 per unit. Now what you have to do? You have to see the market research. Okay, what do they tell in the market research? In market research, if you see, they are giving the possible selling prices and the corresponding annual demand. Okay, now what is the budgeted selling price? Budgeted selling price is 50. Against 50, how many units can they sell? They can sell only 1,40,000 units. So if the company is going to price the product in the manner they are saying, they will not be able to achieve the budgeted units. Okay, they will not be able to sell 2 lakh units. They can produce, Okay, but what you have to do, they will be able to sell only how much? 1,40,000 units. Okay, so you can write that. However, as per the market demand, as per the market study, the demand corresponding to a selling price corresponding to the selling price of rupees 50 per unit will be only how much? Rupees 1,40,000. Only 1,40,000 units. Therefore, even if the company produce 2 lakh units, it can sell only 1,40,000 units. 1,40,000 units. Okay. Now, what is the given? Analyze the above situation and determine the best course of action. Now, what you have to do? You have to find out what should be the optimum selling price of the company. Okay, comparing optimum selling price means what? What should be the selling price at which the profits are maximized? Okay, so you can write computation of statement of optimum selling price of the product. Okay, how can you do that? Okay, now you have 1 2 3 4 5 situations where you have the total quantity and the demand. Okay, so selling price per unit, what was the immediate selling price per unit? Selling price per unit was 44, 48, 50, 44, 48, 50, 56, 60. Okay, then what do you have to do? Budgeted sales. Budgeted sales quantity. In the first case, it is 1 lakh 168 152. 168, then 152. Okay, next is 140 128 108. 140, then 128, and then 108. Okay, total sales revenue. Total sales revenue multiply 44 into 168 will come to 73 lakh 92,000. 73 lakh 92,000. Then 48 into 152,000, that is 72 lakh 96,000. then 50 into 140, that is 70 lakh. Then 56 into 128, 71 lakh 68,000. Then last one, 108 into 60 will give you 64 lakh 80,000. 64 lakh 80,000. Now less. Variable cost at, what is variable cost? Variable cost 32 per unit. $53,76,000. You can also compute the contribution per unit in each case and multiply with the total quantity to get the total budgeted contribution. Then that way also we can do 48 1,52,000 into 32, 48,64,000. Then you have 1,40,000 into 50, that will give you 70 lakhs. Sorry, 1,40,000 into 32, that will give you 44 lakh 80,000. Then 128 into 32, 40 lakh 96,000. Okay, then 108 into 32 will give you 34 lakh 56,000. Okay, so total contribution will be how much? Here 7392 minus 5376, that will give you 20,16,000. Then 7296 minus 4864, that will be 24,32,000. Then 70 lakhs minus 44 lakh 80,000, 25 lakh 20,000. 71 lakh 68,000 minus 40 lakh 96,000, that is 30 lakh 72,000. 64 lakh 80,000 minus 34 lakh 56,000, that is 30 lakh 24,000. Okay, now what do you have to do? Less fixed cost. Fixed cost is 16 lakhs. And also 16 lakhs. Here also 16 lakhs. Okay, so what will be the profit? Okay, budgeted profit. Budgeted profit in the first case it will be 4,16,000. Second case 8,32,000. Then 9,20,000. Then 14,72,000. And the last one is 14,24,000. That is the profit. Okay. Now, if you see this calculation, can you tell me what is the optimum selling price? The optimum selling price is the selling price which contributes maximum profit to the entity, or which maximizes the profits of the entity. And if you see the selling prices given here, the profits of the company is maximum when the selling price is 56,000 and the budgeted sales quantity is 1,28,000. So ideally, in order to maximize the profits of the company has to sell how many units? 1,28,000 units at 56 rupees. Okay. So what should be your conclusion on this or advice? You can write recommendation. Recommendation. Okay. The company has budgeted to produce and sell 2 lakh units. Am I right? It is 2 lakh units. Yes. 2 lakh units at a selling price of rupees 50 per unit. However, the market research has proven that at a selling price of rupees 50 per unit, the company will be able to sell only how much? Only 1,40,000. To sell only 1,40,000 units. Okay. The resultant profit of the company at 1,40,000 units will be rupees. What is the profit? 9,20,000 only. Will be rupees 9,20,000 only. Okay. Now, on the other hand, the profits of the company will be maximized when the company sell how many units? Company sells 1,28,000 units at 56 per unit. Company sells 1,28,000 units. Sorry. At rupees 56 per unit. Therefore, the optimum selling price of the company will be rupees 56 per unit. Okay. The resultant profits will be how much? 14,72,000 will be rupees 14,72,000. Okay. So that is the conclusion what you can give. Okay, right. So with this, the questions in this particular chapter is over. Now I want to introduce few questions. Okay. You can take the material what I have shared. In that, Okay, I will just go through the contents just to see whether we have covered all the topics. Okay, so in the lecture 1, we had seen about the theory of price. Okay, we have covered this theory of price. Then we saw the concept of marginal cost and marginal revenue. Then some examples we have already discussed in the class. Okay, then the principles: total revenue, total cost approach for maximization of the profits. TR minus TZ, the profits will be maximized. That principle we have shown in the morning. Then marginal revenue and marginal cost approach for computing the what do you call the profitable optimum selling price. That also we saw that the MR is MCU, the profits will be maximum. That principles we have seen. Then the formulas under profit maximization problems, that is SP is equal to A minus BQ and marginal revenue is equal to A minus 2BQ. That also we saw. Then we have done a couple of problems in that on the price maximization model 1, 2. Okay, these questions we have seen. Okay, then going ahead into lecture 2, we saw the pricing under different market structures. We saw about the perfect competitive model market, then monopolistic market we have seen, then monopolistic competitive market, oligopoly, that also we have seen. Then the concept of predatory pricing, then limit pricing strategy, then cost plus pricing, all those things we have seen. Okay, then pricing policies, determinants of pricing policy. These are some very fundamental theory topics which once you read, you will understand. The price of a particular product will depend upon the cost, then demand, then competition. These 3 factors. Okay, then principles and product pricing, price customization, price sensitivity. These are things which you can read, and I don't find any relevance for these topics in the exam perspective. That is why I have not spent too much time on these small topics. Okay, then special cases of pricing we have seen: prices in periods of recession, then pricing below marginal cost, which are the areas, which are the times when you can follow this method we have seen. Then moving to the methods of pricing, we saw what are the methods of pricing: cost based pricing, then competition based, then value based we saw. Under competition based, we saw going rate pricing, then sealed bid pricing. Then under value based, true economic value and perceived value. Then coming to this cost based, this is how we need to do the cost calculation. This is something which you have learned in your cost sheet. Okay, the product selling price will be divided into manufacturing cost, administration cost, selling cost, and profit markup. Okay, so these are the 3 types. And manufacturing cost will include prime cost and other manufacturing overheads. Prime cost will include direct material, direct expenses, direct labor. And what meaning of direct labor, direct expenses, direct labor I have given. Then overhead cost. Overhead cost includes indirect labor, then indirect expenses, indirect materials. Okay, so this is the flow in which the cost is being computed in absorption costing. You have already learned it in your previous syllabus. A synopsis of that absorption costing is given in this diagram. Then you have competition based pricing, in which we have seen about the going rate pricing, then sealed bid. Okay, then marginal cost, those things we have seen. Then value based pricing methods, another area. This is one important area. You can mark it as important because we can expect a short question from this. Okay, then concept of value based pricing, we discussed it in the class. Then you have the meaning of objective value or TEV, true economic value, that also we saw in the afternoon session. Then we have done certain problems in respect to the TEV. Okay, that also we saw. Then perceived value, meaning of perceived value, that also we saw. Then from this onwards, it is not there in your study material. Rate of return pricing method. Okay, I will come to that. Okay, then this is another rate of return. Okay, these are some problems on rate of capital employed, ROCE pricing or rate of return method pricing. Okay, then lecture 4, the pricing of new products. In that types of new products we have seen revolutionary product, evolutionary product, and me too products we have seen. Its characteristics we saw. Then scenarios and all, some basic stuffs. Then approaches to pricing some new products, that is skimming policy, penetration policy. We have seen the scenarios also. Then price adjustment policies, we saw about cash discounts, price discrimination, geographic pricing, quantity discounts, and distributors discount. And short note on these also we have seen. Then sensitivity analysis and pricing, we have to see that. Okay, then lecture 5, I have included certain illustrations on pricing decision. Almost Whatever questions were there in the institute material we have covered. Now I have included some numerous problems in this. I think up to question number 5 or 6 questions I have included. Most of these questions have got some concepts of decision making also, or marginal costing also, okay, which we are going to see in the coming chapter. Now these 5 questions from 7.8 to 7.13, I am not discussing it in the class because these are lengthy problems which if I want to discuss I will have to consume a lot of time for that. So I am not doing that because it is not there in the material also, in the syllabus also. So I am just leaving it. You can work out, and before your exams I will work out these problems and I will share you the video links, okay, so that it will be easy for you to revise also, okay. So now there is a small concept called ROCE pricing that is not there in the institute material, but I think that is also very bit important because you may expect some 5 marks questions or 6 mark questions from this area, okay. Now rate of return pricing method, you can write the heading rate of return pricing method. Okay, what do you mean by rate of return pricing method? Okay, it is also known as ROCE pricing. What is ROCE? ROCE is nothing but return on capital employed. Return on capital employed. Okay, now what are you doing in rate of return pricing method? Okay, we have seen about cost plus method. Okay, in cost plus pricing method, what are you doing? You are computing the total cost of a product, manufacturing cost, overheads, all taken together, total cost of a product. Then you will add something called markup in percentage, generally on cost or on the selling price. Okay, now this markup you are computing on the cost. How do you compute this markup? This markup is computed based on the management estimate of required profits. Am I right? Suppose the total cost of the products what you are manufacturing in one particular year is, let us say 2 lakh units you are manufacturing, okay, and the cost will come to, let us say, 80 per unit. So 2 lakh into 80 will be 1 crore 60 lakhs. Am I right? Okay. So 1 crore 60 lakhs will be the total cost of entire units that you are estimating or budgeting to produce in a particular period. Okay. You need to add markup to this. Okay. This markup should be nothing but the desired profit. Desired profit means what? The desired profit by the management. Okay. Or required profit by the management. Now tell me, how will you compute the required profit by the management? What should be the basis of calculation? For any management, the return is required on what? Return is required on the amount invested. Amount invested. Okay. This amount invested, I can call it as investment, or I can call it as capital employed. Am I right? Okay. So ultimately, what I need is a specific required return on the investment I have made or the capital I have employed. If I have invested how much, say 50 lakhs rupees into this particular project, from which I have incurring a total cost of 1 crore 60 lakhs. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. How? The capital can be rotated. Okay, capital revolves. Am I right? You produce certain things using this 50 lakhs, 50 lakhs is going to the production cycle, it completes, and you are getting the money from the debtors. Again, you are reinvesting. Like that, it gets working capital. It goes through a working capital cycle where you are able to get more production than your investment. That is ultimately what is happening in business. Okay, so you have an investment of 50 lakhs with which you are able to have a cost of 1 crore 60 lakhs. So what the management will see? The management will see what is the required return on this capital employed or on this investment. They say that they require minimum 30%. Okay, so 50 lakhs is the amount invested. On that they require 30%. So they require how much profit? 15 lakhs profits. Am I right? Okay, 15 lakhs profits, which means the total markup they require on this 1 crore 60 lakhs is nothing but how much? 15 lakhs. Is it clear? So on 1 crore 60 lakhs total cost of production, they require a profit of 15 lakhs. So what they can do? Now they can work out the markup percentage. Am I right? 15 lakhs margin or markup on 1 crore 60 lakhs into 100. How much it will be? 15 divided by 160. That will give you, you need 9.375 percentage markup. So the markup will be at 9.375 percentage. Okay, so that is 15 lakh. So total will be 175 will be the total sales value minus what? Total cost of 160. Your profit will be 15 lakhs, which is nothing but 30% return on your investment. This is how you do the calculation and budgeting. Am I right? So ultimately the point what I want to tell you is, any markup or any profit prediction is based on your investment, amount invested or capital employed. Am I right? And that method of ascertaining the required return on the investment on capital employed and fixing the prices of the products based on that required profit or return on the amount invested or capital employed is what is known as rate of return pricing method. Okay, so rate of return pricing method is a system, of pricing, okay, in which the price to be charged or to be fixed for the products or services, okay, is computed on the basis of required return on the amount invested or capital employed. Okay, this required return on investment is referred as ROI. Okay, and required return on capital employed is referred as ROCE, return on capital employed. Is it clear? Yes. Okay, now we will have to do a couple of problems. It's a very easy concept, there is nothing complicated in that. Okay, so there is a formula for computing the selling price per unit. What is that? Total cost for the budgeted production plus Desired ROCE. What is that? Desired percentage of return on capital employed into capital employed. So this is the markup required. Okay, we saw just now markup amount divided by budgeted volume. That you will get the selling price per unit. Okay, and capital employed is nothing but net fixed cost employed for production plus net working capital invested. Okay, it's a very simple concept. We will do a couple of problems in this. Okay, you can take question number 7.4 and read the question. 7.4 in page number 17 of the material what I have shared. You can read the question. Okay. Machine Tools Limited have received an inquiry for supply of 2 lakh units of a special type of machine part. Capacity exists for the manufacture of the machine part, but a fixed investment of rupees 80,000 and working capital to the extent of 25% of the sales value will be required if the job is undertaken. The costs are estimated as under: raw material 20,000 kilos at rupees 2.30 per kg, labor hours direct 18,000, of which 2,000 would be overtime hours payable at double the labor rate of rupee 1 per hour. Then factory overheads rupee 1 per direct labor hour, and selling and distribution expense will be rupees 23,000. Materials recovered at the end of the operation is estimated at rupees 2,000. The company expects a net return of 25% on the capital employed. You are the management accountant of the company. The managing director requests you to prepare a cost and price statement indicating the price which should be quoted to the customer. Very simple problem. You need to follow the return on capital employed approach for computing the required quote for the product. Okay, so what do you have to do? Okay, the company, you can write the company follows ROCE pricing method to determine the amount to be quoted for the work, for the contract. Okay, now what you have to do? First you have to find out what the total cost of sales. Okay, and then you find out what is the required rate of return, required profit on the investment. You add that required profit on investment to the cost of sales, you will get the amount to be quoted. So calculation, working note number 1, computation of total cost of sales. Computation of estimated total cost of sales. Okay, first is raw materials. Raw materials, what do they say? They say that it requires 20,000 kilos at 2.30 per kg. So 20,000 kg into rupees 2.30 per kg. Total will be how much? Rupees 46,000. Then there is one information that you will add the labor cost. Add labor cost. What do they say about labor? Labor, 18,000 labor is required, out of which 2,000 would be overtime hours payable at double the labor rate of rupees 1 per hour. So out of 18,000, 16,000 hours are payable at rupee 1 per hour. So that will be rupees 16,000. Then 2,000 hours are payable at rupees 2 per hour. That is 4,000. So what will be the total? Total will be 20,000. 20,000. Now what do you have to do? There is factory overhead. Factory overhead is rupee 1 per direct labor hour. So factory so 18,000 hours into rupees 1 per hour, that will take to rupees 18,000. Okay, then what else? You have certain other information regarding selling and distribution expenses, 23,000. So selling and distribution expenses at 23,000. Total cost will be how much? 46,000 plus 20,000 plus 18,000 plus 23,000. That will become 1,07,000. Then there is one more item. What is that? There is some information about the materials recovered at the end of the operation estimated as rupees 2,000. So that will be a revenue. So less value of materials recovered, that is minus rupees 2,000. So that will be total cost of sales, 1,05,000. That is the cost of sales. Okay, 1,05,000. Now what do you have to do? You have to find out what is the required profit. Okay, computation of required profit. How to compute the required profit? Required profit is to be computed on the capital employed. Therefore, capital employed is equal to fixed capital plus floating capital or working capital. Fixed capital investment, that is rupees 80,000 plus what? What is the working capital? 25% on capital. Sorry, that is the return. Now regarding the capital, what is it? Yeah, and working capital to the extent of 25% of sales value. 25% on the sales value. Okay, so this will be the capital employed, and they say that the required profit margin is how much? Required profit margin is 25% on the capital employed. Okay, so required profit is equal to 25% of capital employed. Is it clear? Okay, now what you have to do? You have to formulate an equation. Okay, that is equal to 25% of what is capital employed? Rupees 80,000 plus 25% of sales. That will be 25% of 80,000 will be 20,000. 20,000 plus 25% into 25% will be 6.25 of sales. Okay. Now you have to formulate an equation here. Then only you will get, because on one side you need the sales value. Okay. The other side, in order to find out the sales value, you require the profit, required profit. To compute the required profit, you again require the sales value. Okay. So let us assume that the total sales value of the contract be X. Okay, we have required profit is equal to 20,000 plus 6.25 percentage of X. Okay, percentage of X. Is it clear? This is equation number, I'm marking it as equation number 1. Okay. Now we know that total sales value is equal to total cost of sales plus required profit. Am I right? Yes. So that is, what is total sales value? We have assumed it to be X. So X equal to, what is total cost of sales? We have already computed it to be 1,05,000. X equal to 1,05,000 plus, what is required profit? 20,000 plus 0.0625 X. Am I right? Yes. So now if you solve this equation, what you will get? X minus 0.60625. X is equal to 125. That will take you 1 minus 0.0625 will be 0.9375x is equal to 1,25,000. Therefore, X is equal to 1,25,000 divided by 0.9375. 1,25,000 divided by 0.9375 is equal to 1,33,333. Is it clear? Okay, so 1,33,333. Now what you have to do? You got the total sales value. Okay, therefore total sales revenue. Okay, of how many products? What is the number of products? 2 lakh units. Of 2 lakh units is equal to 1,33,333. Okay, therefore required selling price per unit is equal to rupees 133,333 divided by 2 lakh. Okay, that is 1 divided by 2 lakhs will give you rupees 0.667 per unit, or you can write it as 0.67 per unit. Okay, therefore the selling price to be quoted by the company is 0.67 per unit. Okay, right, that is the question. Now I think we can take one more question, question number 7.5. Take question number 7.5. Read the question. MA company produces a single product Imbex. For an annual sales of 40,000 units of Imbex, fixed overhead is rupees 5,50,000. The variable cost per unit is rupees 60. Capital employed in fixed assets is rupees 8 lakhs, and in the current assets is 50% of the net sales, that is sales less discount. The company sells goods at 20% discount on the maximum retail selling price, that is MRP, which is X per unit. The company wants to earn a return of 25% before tax on capital employed in fixed and current assets. Calculate the value of X. Very similar problem with what we did earlier, the previous problem. Okay, so we'll do. So they have given the maximum retail price to be X per unit. So given the maximum retail price to be X. Okay, therefore the selling price after discount, this discount is a mandatory discount or trade discount, so any selling price for any purpose it should be after discount only. Okay, what is the percentage of discount? 20%. So X minus 20% of X, that is equal to 0.8x. 0.8x. Now what you have to do, you need to first find out what is the requirement. The requirement is to find out what value of X. So for that, what all information you have, you know the sales volume, then fixed overhead available, variable cost is available. Okay, then information about the capital employed is available. Then the required return is 25% before tax on capital employed. This much information you have to find out X. Okay, so first you will find out the total cost. Okay, so variable cost or statement of cost of sales. One is variable cost. How many units? 40,000. So 60 into 40, right? 60 into 40,000. That will give you 60 into 40,000 will be 24 lakhs. 24 lakhs. Then add fixed overheads. What is the fixed overheads? Fixed overheads 5,50,000 it is given. Therefore, total cost of sales is given to be how much? 29,50,000. Now what you have to do? You need to find out the total investment, and on the total investment what is the required return? That should be the markup. Okay, now amount invested is equal to fixed asset. What is the amount of investment? They say that fixed asset is 8 lakh and current is 50% of X. Okay, so and required return is 25% before tax. So amount invested is equal to 28 lakhs on fixed assets plus how much? Current is 50% of net sales. 50% of net sales. Okay, so how do you find out that? Net sales will be 0.8x into what is the number of units? Number of units 40,000. Okay, of that 50%. Okay, that is the amount invested, and required return will be 25% of amount invested, that is equal to into 40,000 into 50% into 0.8 will give you 16,000 x. That will be 8 lakhs into 0.25 will be 2 lakh plus 16,000 into 0.25 will be 4,000. Okay, this is equation number 1. Now what do you have to do? Okay, now you have to formulate a return, a formula. Okay, we know that cost of sales plus acquired profit is equal to total sales revenue. That is cost of sales, how much? Cost of sales is 29,50,000. 29,50,000 plus required profit is how much? 2 lakhs plus 4,000 x. 2 lakhs plus 4,000 x is equal to total revenue will be 4,000 into x after discount into 0.8x, that is equal to 32,000. Okay, here you can write after discount. Okay, 32,000 x. Now if you solve this, what you will get is 31,50,000 plus 4,000 x is equal to 32,000 x. That is 32,000 minus 4,000 will be 28,000. So x is equal to 31,50,000 divided by 28,000. That is equal to 31,50,000 divided by 28,000 will give you 112.50. Okay, so what is the requirement to compute? Requirement is to calculate the value of x. Therefore, the value of x is rupees 112.50 per unit. Always remember, you have to answer to the question. Whatever is asked in the question, you need to put your answer to that particular question itself. Okay, so that's all about this question. Then you have some other questions also given on the same ROC price. This is also same, more or less same question itself, so there is no need to do it again. Okay, and there is a question on learning curve, that is effect of learning curve. Of course we will have to learn the learning curve concepts first, then only we will do it later. And then I have given certain questions towards the end in chapter 5, illustrations. Okay, again 5 questions. These are comprehensive questions which has been taken from your previous syllabus study material as well as practice manual. So these are basically questions which were asked in the previous all syllabus exams. Okay, so it will give you a sort of practice. We can work out that. I will share you with the answers later. Okay, so I think with this particular chapter is over. Okay, now we need to move to the next topic. We have a small topic left out in the previous, this one. Okay, I will do one thing. I will just we will just start up with the concept of environmental management accounting. Okay, I will just explain you the concept. What do you mean by this EMA, and to what extent it is required? It is relevant for your exams. Okay, I will give you just briefing. Then after that we will stop for the day. Okay, maybe half an hour or more than. Okay, so you can write the heading environment management accounting. This was a topic in chapter 4. Environmental Management Accounting, EMA. Okay. Now, what is this EMA or Environmental Management Accounting? Environmental Management Accounting is a very new concept which was introduced towards the beginning of this century, that is 2000 and all. Okay, where this principle says that whenever you do any accounting, whether it's management accounting or cost accounting or your financial accounting, you should also consider the impact of environment also. Okay, if you don't consider the environmental impacts in your accounting and decision making, then you will not be able to achieve long-term sustainable profits. That is the sum and substance. We saw in the first class, the basic objective of any entity is to have a long-term sustainable profitability. Okay, in order to ensure that there is long-term sustainable profitability, you should give due care to the environment also. Is it clear? That is the crux of this particular topic. Okay, so first you can write the principle behind EMA is the importance or significance of environment and environmental cost for attaining the long-term business objective. Okay, in bracket you can write long-term sustainable profitability. Okay, why do we say that? We say that because any business exploit the environment for its existence. Okay, in some form or the other. Okay, so unless due consideration is given to the environment in the decision making process. Decision making process. The entity cannot sustain in the long term. Sustain in the long term. This is a principle which is widely accepted nowadays. Okay, you need to bother about the environment also. So with this concept, let's see what do you mean by environmental management accounting. Okay, environmental management accounting is nothing but it's identification, collection and analysis of what? Of environment related information. For what purpose? For decision making. Okay, and which environment related information? Are we bothered about the environment of America when you are doing business in India? No, you are concerned about the environment which is impacted by your business. Okay, environment related information. Okay, impacted by your business. Okay, or business impacted by the business entity. Okay, now can you foresee which all are the areas where a business entity depend or exploit the environment? In many cases, am I right? If you are a manufacturing company, then environment is very much required for setting up a factory. You have to cut down a lot of trees for setting up a plant. If you have a head office will be built using environmental things, like you will be cutting trees, then you will be breaking rocks, then you will be using the sand. So many things, so many inputs which you have taken from the environment is used for building infrastructure. That is one thing. Then you take your raw material. Any manufacturing process, you will have some raw material which is directly taken or directly related with the environment. Okay, now forget about everything. You take the case of fuel. Any fuel, whether it is diesel or electricity or whatever, it is a byproduct of environmental exploitation. Okay, you are extracting crude oil. The outcome is what? Your petrol or diesel, what you are using as a fuel. Okay, you are exploiting the water. You have the tidal electricity. You are exploiting the environment in some other method. Okay, using coal, and you are generating thermal energy or radioactive, whatever be the source of energy that you are using to take your business forward. It is by exploiting the environment only. Okay, so in what all aspects your business or your entity affect the environment, that information has to be identified, then collected and analyzed. Okay, before starting a project, you have to analyze in what all areas you are going to affect the environment, and is it feasible? A project should not be analyzed purely from financial perspective. It should be analyzed from environmental perspective also. Whether your project may be profitable in terms of financial, but if it is exploiting the environment in a manner which is not going to be replenished, then you have to think twice. Okay, so EMA is nothing but identification, collection and analysis of environmental related information for the decision making. Okay, then environmental related information can be of two types. You can write that. Environment related information can be of two types. One is Physical information. Okay, then physical information means what all things it includes? It includes with the use or flow or rate of use of flow or rate of what? Energy, use of energy, then flow of water, then rate of consumption of materials. All these affects what? Environment. Okay, use of energy, directly exploiting your environment, only you are taking this energy. Then flow of water, it is environment related. Then rate of consumption of materials, where do you get materials? From the environment. Okay, so it also includes including information relating to waste. Okay, even waste is by influencing, exploiting your environment. Then second, first is physical information, second is monetary information. Monetary information, what are things? You are concerned about three things in monetary: the cost of environment. That means what is the cost of using energy, electricity, cost of using water, cost of consuming the materials, everything is cost. Then earnings, how much do you earn from this? When you incur a cost of this much, how much do you incur? Then savings. Okay, so cost, savings and earnings, these are the three aspects of monetary information. Okay, now you can write meaning of EMA. Meaning of EMA. Okay. Please write 1. It is a process of collection and analysis of information relating to various environmental cost. For what? For internal decision making. So you are trying to collect information, you are trying to analyze that information. Which information? Information relating to the environmental cost. Okay, and you are going to use that for your internal decision making. Before you implement a project, okay, you are making or you are doing a study of environment impact. Okay, that is EMA. Okay, like that your decision taking process will have due regards to the environmental cost also. That is first one. Another feature, it focus on integrating what? Integrating best management accounting thinking with what? With the environment management practice. Yes, very important. See, what is the ultimate objective of a management accounting? A management accountant is somebody who analyzes the information and do a cost benefit analysis and give recommendations. Am I right? So that perspective of doing a cost benefit analysis, that is management accounting thinking is to be integrated with what? The environment management practice. That means even when you have some environment related information, you are thinking from a management accounting perspective with respect to what? The environment management practices and environment management cost. Okay, and you are taking a decision whether this is viable considering the environmental impact or environmental cost. So you are trying to integrate your management accounting capabilities with that of the environment management practices. Okay, right. Next feature is identify and estimate. Identify and estimate what? The cost of environmental related activities. Cost of environment related activities. Then plus take steps to control such cost. Okay. Identify the cost of environment related activities and also take steps to control such cost. That is also part of EMA. Okay. Purely theory topic, you will have to learn this. I'm trying to explain it one by one, but you will have to learn what do you mean by what is the meaning of EMA and what are its features. Okay. So you'll have to write each of these things. Next feature is EMA makes better use or modify what? Modify the sources of information relating to environment and apply the management accounting techniques. So we are trying to apply the management accounting principles. Like we have learned a lot of techniques in management accounting. Those techniques we are trying to apply for what? Environmental related information. Okay, and you are trying to get a refined information for the purpose of decision making. That is the whole purpose of environmental management accounting. Okay, next, this will help you to evaluate outcome. What is the outcome of EMA? Okay, you can write evaluate. Evaluate what? The company, whether the company is one, environmentally sustainable, or okay, environmentally effective. Environmentally effective, environmentally sustainable, and environmentally effective. Okay, right. So these are the areas. These are the features of EMA. Now the various areas of EMA. Areas of EMA application. Where do you apply this EMA? You have to apply this EMA in product pricing. Before you price a particular product, you have to consider the impact of environment also, and you need to charge that cost also, recover the money, then use it for the environment. Okay, then budgeting. When you prepare your budget, you have to consider how much your level of activity impacts the environment. Try to reduce the impact on the or exploitation of the environment. Okay, next, investment appraisal. I told you your investment should not only be analyzed or appraised from financial return perspective, you should also appraise it from the perspective of the impact that is generated to the environment, positive or negative. Okay, then cost calculation. Environment costs are also a cost to the company. Okay, then savings of environmental profits, environmental projects. This is the best practices. Okay, best environmental management practices. You are trying to contribute something to the environment. Okay, then next is another area, classification of environmental cost. Classification of environmental cost. The environmental cost can be classified into four. Like you have the classification in quality cost. Similar classification itself. It can be divided into one, environmental prevention cost. In cost of quality, you had four classifications, which were the prevention, appraisal, internal failure, and external failure. So similarly, here you have environmental prevention cost, then environmental appraisal cost, environmental appraisal cost, then environmental internal failure cost, and next is environmental external failure cost. External failure cost. Now, what do you mean by environmental prevention cost? So, this is the cost cost associated with preventing adverse environmental impact. Associated with preventing adverse environmental impact. Okay, if you give me examples, installing pollution control equipments, use of renewable energy resources, renewable energy resources, creating an environmental policy, then environmentally driven research and development. So many things, feasibility studies, so many things will come under the prevention cost. Now, similarly, moving to the other cost, that is appraisal cost. So, these are the cost incurred to determine whether the products, activities, or processes are in compliance with environment standards. Standards, then policies, then laws. Okay, you have certain policies, you have certain standards, you have certain laws. Okay, whether you are complying that, ensure that cost of ensuring whether your products, your activities, or your processor are in compliance with the environmental standards or policies or laws is what is known as environmental appraisal cost. So, for example, you have an audit, environmental audit. It is an appraisal cost. Okay, then you have an inspection team, testing team. This it is appraisal cost itself. Okay, then you have certain penalties or certain fines implemented. It is appraisal cost. So everything which any cost that is incurred to ensure that your products, your processes, your activities are well within the standards of environmental this one protection. That is what is known as environmental appraisal cost. Okay. Then coming to environmental internal failure cost. Okay. So these are cost incurred from activities that have been produced but not discharged to the environment. Okay, your production process resulted in some waste which is harmful to the environment. Okay, but before it is discharged to the environment, what you did, you try to do a recycling or detoxification. That is an internal failure cost. Okay, let me tell you, recycling of scrap materials. It is an internal failure cost, environment internal failure cost. Example, a recycling cost of scrap. Then next, detoxification of residuals. Okay, then you have cost of decommissioning. Of projects. All these things are to avoid any direct impact to the environment. Okay, next, environmental external failure cost. That means you have discharged the waste to the environment. Okay, everything is gone out of your control. Now after that, what you have to do, you are incurring some cost to rectify it. Okay, now you had generated certain waste, toxic materials, which you should not have given to the or discharged to the environment, but somehow you discharged it. After that, regulatory authorities came. They came with notice. Now you are incurring cost for removing that toxic materials. It is an environmental external failure cost. Okay, so this is cost incurred on activities performed after the waste is discharged to the environment. Okay, next, so you can write examples. Cleaning up of waste in the environment, environment. Then restoration of land after use. Okay, restoration of land after use. Is it clear? Then next heading you can give identification of environmental cost. Okay, how can you identify this environmental cost? First strategy, review the general ledger in thoroughly, intensively. Thoroughly means intensively. Okay, then identify various cost incurred in relation to environment. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to take your general ledger, and review the general ledger intensively. There will be lot of costs which are related to the environment, like you have setting up of pollution control. Okay, that is what you call pollution control equipments. It is an environmental cost. It's a cost for preventing environmental damages. Okay, then effluent treatment plant, it is an environmental cost. Okay, then you saw that there is a penalty. Okay, that penalty paid to the local body. This is an for environmental harms. So that is a external failure cost. Then you have an audit, environmental audit. The cost incurred for that environmental audit, it is an appraisal cost. So many costs may be there in your general ledger account, which you need to analyze thoroughly and identify various costs that have been incurred. Then what you have to do, you have to allocate this cost. Okay, allocate these costs into various activities, related activities. Okay, so what you will do, you have certain activities which is contributing this particular cost. Okay, so once you have identified the total cost, then that cost has to be given, that has to be allocated against these various activities which contributes that particular cost. Okay, so this classification will also include classification into prevention cost, then appraisal cost, then internal failure cost, then external failure cost. External failure cost. So this is the classification. Then what you have to do, last step is use the above information for taking business decisions. Okay, so these are the steps in which the environmental cost has been identified and used for taking business decisions. Okay, now we have certain other small topics also, but now I think those small topics we will deal with that later. There is one case study also, that case study also we will deal later. Now I think we will wind up for the day. Okay, tomorrow morning I will start with new chapter, that is decision making, that is chapter 6. Okay, today we have completed chapter 7. Now tomorrow I will start with chapter 6. Then that also I told you I will not be doing it exhaustively. There are a lot of problems in your all syllabus from those topics, but I will not cover these entire problems. I will restrict my preparation of class problems only to those problems which is there in the institute study material. Okay, then some additional problems I will do, and also I will try to explain all the concepts which are likely to required for your exams. Okay, so tomorrow that is the target. So again we will see tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. We are stopping for the day. Thank you.